All right, we're here with Mike Wilson. Mike is one of the committee members on the Effingham to Topless Christmas Classic. Mike, this is 10 years of the Christmas Classic. How is it already 10 years?
I don't know, Tyler. It's gone by really, really fast. Um, the COVID year was a mess, and then we lost the tournament for 1 year, but we've came back and kept it rolling, and the tournament is probably stronger now than it's ever been. It's become what we anticipated it would become.
Of you and who else is on the committee?
Both athletic directors, Dave Waltman from Effingham and Derek Zerusen from Teutopolis. Mike McCollum's been on since day one. Other committee members, Jeff Hardick, Chris Craik, Andy Johnson, superintendent at Effingham, who was involved with this as an AD at T-Town when we started, helps us on the committee. Manny Way, Michael Beaning, Steve Boswell, Jason Rundy, Chris Zerusen, my daughter Morgan, she thinks she runs the committee. Keith Hartman, Kent Nieberge, and Corey McDaniel. So the committee has grown. We've lost people over the years, but you need this many people to pull off what we pull off.
How long does it take for you to put the work into this and to make it a successful tournament?
Well, I mean, we jokingly call it Christmas in July. We usually try to have our first meeting in July, and people say, well, what the heck are you? Well, we sit down and look at our list of corporate sponsors, and we decide who on the committee is going to touch base, because without the support of our corporate sponsors, we couldn't make this the type of tournament we have. So we start then, probably September. We start in earnest September, October. We start meeting about every week, every other week. And then it's, we got to have stuff in by Thanksgiving for the program, or to start getting stuff in. Our checks from our corporate sponsors. We have met with our hotels. We've kind of gone the route. We've got 2 hotels who are corporate sponsors now. So that's where we send all of our teams to. If they're going to commit to us like that, we commit to them. So, yeah. But getting the ads for the program, then we get closer to Thanksgiving. We start reaching out to all the coaches. We got to get rosters, information, pictures. This year on our apparel, we had a store where they had to go in and order their shirts, which has saved us incredible amount of money. Mitch and Megan Custer have kind of ran the apparel the last couple of years, and I know I talked to Mitch today, and he was like, it only took him a half hour to divvy stuff out, where before, yeah, it was a lot of, I know because I did it all before I finally farmed it out to Mitch. So, but it's just amazing stuff like that. We've got a people on the committee. I think it's Jeff Hardick, Mike McCollum, Keith Hartman. They're in charge of drinks. They get our drinks everywhere. They don't let me do anything with that anymore because I had some kind of screw up involving Gatorade. I don't know. They like to tease me about it still. But, and then I've got people in charge of the food. I got people in charge of getting the grills because we're cooking each location. It's the whole committee is constantly doing stuff. Morgan's in charge of our social media, getting stuff on Facebook, Twitter, dealing with all the newspapers wanting information. We have a pretty good list we send every box score out to, but it's just, I don't think people realize the amount of work that goes into it. And it's now our 10th year. We have a pretty good idea what we're doing. We're 2 days away from the start of the tournament, and I'm scared to death because is there something we've forgotten? And then I heard Greg Sapp at 6:30 in the morning mention the S word this week. So, when you start talking snow, now I get nervous. I don't think we're supposed to get anything, amount to anything, but, it's things like that. We've had teams get stuck in the interstate on traffic because of an accident and show up 20 minutes before tip-off. We had a team a couple of years ago cancel on us around Thanksgiving. We've had that happen to us twice. It sends us in panic mode for a couple days, but we have enough contacts now throughout the state of Illinois. It works, and it does. The last thing we really do is when we seed the tournament. We have a committee that does that. We don't just haphazardly. And when people look at our brackets, to be honest, they'll have a hard time figuring out who's seated where. But it really is a traditional where, if 1 and 8 both win, it's set that way. It's just not maybe traditional how it's set up, because we like to have St. Anthony play a 6 o'clock game, and then the 2 hosts play at 7:30. So we have to do some, and we try to keep Mattoon, Charleston, Effingham apart. We try to accommodate things like that. But it takes some work. We get Aaron Britton involved. I reach out to Aaron quite a bit, especially when we're looking to add new teams. I talk to Aaron too, get his feedback. I value his input. He's been down to one tournament. At one time, he talked like he was going to make it down this year. I haven't heard anything official from him yet. Since he's engaged now, he's a different person. We may have to get him and his daughter's T-shirts now, not just him. So we'll have to see. But it's a lot of work. But as a committee, we have a lot of fun. We really do. That's how I keep these people involved in the committee, is they enjoy doing it. And I'll tell you what, after Saturday night when we're done, nobody wants to get out of bed Sunday morning. You're worn out. You're worn out because you're constantly on your feet running, doing things. But it's a lot of fun, and we feel like we've got one of the best tournaments in the state of Illinois. We do get some advice. Because we send out a questionnaire to the coaches at the end of the year. And there's some good things. What kind of things we've done, and then I guess what we hear from people, the coaches appreciate the fact we do laundry every game. Now, T-Town, St. Anthony, Effingham, we're not doing their laundry. But the teams that travel, especially the overnight teams, we're doing their laundry after every game. Now, in our early years, we had to buy a set of uniforms for a school because one of our former committee members, there was a shirt, we had red print on the T-shirts, and it got in, and they had pink splotches on their uniforms, so we bought them new uniforms. We had another situation where we had some get sticky in a dryer. We don't dry anything anymore. But Rich Columnist from Lincoln Way East, he says, Mike, I've been involved with the Big Dipper, some of the big name tournaments in Chicago, and he says, to be honest, you're just a number there. You guys care about teams here. He goes, you guys take care of us. He goes, your hospitality room is second to none. He goes, you got a program. Some of these places, they may have Xerox copies that aren't, even lined up. We put in a lot of time and effort. Kyle Jansen prints us an incredible program. That's the big thing, I think. Feeding the teams after the game. These coaches thank us immensely, and they'll say, we don't get this other places. We paid every team $1,000 for coming. I know a team that came from another tournament where they had to pay an entry fee. Yeah, can you make more money other places? Sure. We pay for their hotel rooms while they're here. And that's the thing, that's the biggest thing we hear from the compliment side is you take care of the teams. And we've, from day one, when we first started talking about this tournament, and it was Dave Waltman, Andy Johnson, really Mike McCollum and I started the conversation. And we wanted it to be a very coach-friendly tournament. You don't come here, I hear horror stories of Ken Crawford having to go do laundry at 11 o'clock at night for a game before tournaments. We want, everything's turnkey. You show up and play. We got everything for you. And that's the biggest compliment we hear. And again, we go above and beyond and probably do as much or more than any tournament in the state. I've been to several tournaments. People say, oh, that's a great Christmas tournament. Not really. Maybe it is because you liked a couple teams who were there, but really the way things are done, not so much. And that's why we've taken those experiences we've had as coaches, and tried to make sure you show up and coach. All you got to worry about when you're here is coaching. I still remember the Lincoln Way kids. They had no idea what a pork burger is. It's their favorite. It's their favorite food when they come down. The returning players. I remember George Bellevue last year. I think I said, "Man, we're gonna have to weigh you before and after the tournament." He had 20 pork burgers while he was here, easily. But that's the thing. Belvedere kids, when they have their tryouts, coach says that's all kids talk about. Hey, we got to make the team so we can go down to Effingham. Lincoln Way kids. Oak Lawn, I read a thing at the end of the year Coach Rhodes sent me where his seniors had to talk about their 4-year highlights. Almost every kid said their Christmas trip to the Effingham Holiday Tournament. That's what we have here. And it's such a balancing act. Some people say, oh, you have too many teams from up north. There's not a team within 50 miles of here we haven't talked to. Nobody. We've reached out, so it's a fine line, having teams that'll have a following. And then, hey, Lincoln Way, they're great. They got 3 guards this year who can play. Oak Lawn's awesome. We've got good teams here that mix with our local people. And I think that's the great thing. Where else can you go to a Christmas tournament and you see a 1A team ranked in the top 4 and a 4A team who's been ranked? Nowhere.
From the community's aspect of this, Mike, people love basketball in this area, but also St. Anthony, Teton, Effingham love basketball for our county. But now bring in these big schools. How much of a benefit do you think that is for our viewers?
That's the biggest thing. And when we started this tournament, when we had these conversations about why we wanted to start this tournament, when a family has people home for Christmas, hey, we're home for a couple of days. Gosh, it's been 10 years since I saw a T-Town basketball game. They're not going to drive to Pinckneyville. They're not going to drive to Collinsville. But they'll drive across the creek to Effingham or to T-Town and watch a game. And that's why we do this tournament. So this area, which loves basketball so much and has such a rich history, when those people are home over the holidays, they can come watch a game. And we've got the sprinkling ins of kids, they can come watch other teams. And that's the good thing. But this community supports it. We've now almost matched our pre-COVID attendance we set the first year. And the first year we had 16 teams. We had a Central A&M team that was ranked in state. We had a Pleasant Plains team that were ranked in state. They both traveled well. Effingham, St. Anthony, Teton were both really good. That's where you get the people to come out. And that's what we love about this tournament. The addition of Newton was great. That brings the Jasper County folks. They come, they follow them. They come watch our kids play. That's the thing we like. We hated when we lost Altamont. Coach Niebury, Johnny and I are great friends. They had a good opportunity, but, they got better when they played here as well. Central A&M, Rob Smith told me when they went to state, your tournament was a big part of getting us better. We got our butt kicked there. My kids needed that. Pleasant Plains. I heard Pleasant Plains kids at a super sectional being interviewed saying Effingham tournament was what sparked our team to go because they come here and the competition they face. But our community supports it. Our corporate sponsors, we can't run a tournament without them. They're incredible. We ask every year, they're on board. That's the awesome thing. That allows us to pay every team so much money. That allows us to pay for hotel rooms. The T-Town sports backers, the Effingham sports backers, they take tickets, they cook hamburgers, they sell concessions. We give back to them when it's done. That's the thing. It's the whole community buy-in and, people are excited about it. I've already got people saying, are you ready? Are you ready for the tournament? Well, I'll know here in a couple of days, about 3 o'clock, how ready we are. But I think we are, and stuff like we now have Pearhead Barbecue. These guys smoke brisket for us. You can't go to too many tournaments and sit in the hospitality. Tyler, we weighed you after tournaments before. I know you put on weight during our tournament. But you can't go anywhere and have that to eat and just snack on. And the camaraderie in a hospitality room with the other coaches there, it's awesome. And the officials, but our community supports this tournament. by coming out and watching. And don't forget, and also we kind of give back. We're military. On the last day is free admission for retired people and current military people. We want to give back to those men and women as well. We're just almost to where I would say we're at a perfect tournament. And we've talked about it a little bit in our last meeting with our committee members. We use, for example, Newton, Mattoon, and Charleston. On the second day of the tournament, when they play a doubleheader, we use a host family, okay? So I've been a host family before for several years. We've hosted a team. Ideally for everyone except Effingham, Teutopolis, and St. Anthony, we'd like to do this for. And even the teams in the hotels, because I know going to a hotel, it's okay. But we have a host family where these teams would come into your house. We provide snacks and food. We provide drinks. It just gives them a chance to get off their feet. When we would host, I remember hosting Mount Vernon, and my son set up about 3 or 4 PS3s or 4s in our basement. And those kids are gaming and they're eating, and some of them are sleeping, and coach gets to sit down, and usually there's good college basketball on. And we were making good strides maybe towards being able to do that for everyone, and maybe having 12, 13 families willing to do that. And then COVID hit, and that just kind of stopped us in our tracks. We've got 3 host families this year, and that's the biggest thing. We needed a third one. I put it on Facebook, and I had a couple other people reach out to us. That's the biggest thing, I think, to solidify it. And but it gives these, I can remember when I was on Andy Fehrenbacher's staff at Teutopolis. We stayed with the same family for 6 years down at the Capital Classic. I would see these people afterwards. My daughter ran cross country, and their daughter did. We'd be talking. I mean, you get to know people, and it shows the community to some of these folks as well. This is a very giving, very great area here. And I would love to have a pool or some more host families. So even for the folks who are staying in the hotels, we can offer. Some may not want to do it, but at least offer it where those kids can go. The worst thing in a tournament is you go sit in a restaurant for 3 hours and then go sit in the gym and get gym ass for 3 hours. That's the worst thing to do. And I think that would be a great thing if that's our last box to check. And we're getting there, but I really would like to get there and do that and have some community people, willing to help us in that regard. And it's one day. It's for a couple hours, 3 hours tops.
Trying to get officials, Mike. I know my dad, Carl Repking, has really helped you guys out a lot, but the obstacles of trying to get them, but also finding the ones that are actually available.
Yeah, well, it's a problem not only with us, it's with the whole state of Illinois, unfortunately. Your dad, Carl Repking, has been kind of our tournament assigner for several years. We really don't do anything but pay him. Steve Boswell helps him. Your dad gets officials. I think we're just about filled up for next year as well. And we try to reward local area guys, but we also try to bring in good officials from outside the area. And sometimes we run into the fact maybe Mike Wilson's crew down in the Metro East area, we'll come up, but we're only going to do the championship game. Well, no, we want you to come up, but to be part of it, and we pay them pretty good. We give them a gift, so it's, we do some things there, but us not having to deal with officials is huge. I went to the bank to get money to pay them the other day. That's all we got to do, and bundle it up and give it to them, and feed them when their game's over, and say nice things to them. But no, that takes such a burden off the committee, and they've done such a very good job for us. I can't say enough good things also about our local media. Steve Raymond writes the preview in our tournament brochure, in our tournament program. He does a great job with that. The coverage we give, XEF, we do a lot of advertising with them for the tournament. They will broadcast our championship game and stream it live for us, which is really good. And that's kind of an agreement we've worked out with them, and those guys do a great job. And then, we have Charleston Mattoon Radio here, Newton Radio, just all the publicity. I remember Michael O'Brien from the Sun-Times. We've had plugs on this podcast before talking about our tournament. I still remember a couple of years ago, he said this is the only tournament in the state of Illinois that's growing and showing life. Other tournaments have now rebounded a little bit, but yeah, we enjoy that, and we try to help the media as best we can, getting them information. You promote the tournament well for us, and that's a big plus, and we appreciate that also.